Zach Lavine is playing the best basketball we've seen out of him this season and maybe in his NBA career. Is that the shot in the arm the Chicago Bulls offense needs? Let's talk about it starting now. Appreciate you guys for tuning in as always, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, especially if you're new here, because we do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure you get in tune with us, man. Make sure that you
push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard Carter and Soon Lee push the button. So here's the thing, right? Zach Lavine finally living up to being the $215 million man that we paid. Took him a little while to get himself going this season, but it seems like he's finally starting to find his groove. Zach Lavine over the last 5 games dominating, but honestly, right? And here's the thing that I've talked about all season. Bulls fans want to see Zach Lavine, of course, do what we've seen him do his whole career. Go out there, put up 25 plus, attack the rim, knock down the 3 ball, right? Do all of those things that offensively are exciting to us. But that's not what the Chicago Bulls paid Zach Lavine for, right? Of course you pay him for the scoring, but the Chicago Bulls paid Zach Lavine because they felt like he was going to be their best player on the floor. And you know what? The numbers would back that he has been. The numbers would back that he's been one of the best players on different fronts than just offensive play, right? I take a look, and more so in the last 5-6 games, right? I've said that Zach Lavine is playing better. I think he did start the season off struggling. I think the offense played into him having some issues, but the assist numbers have been there. Zach Lavine's been facilitating really well. Zach Lavine's been trying to get to the rebounds really well, right? Like, he's been trying to attack, finding different ways to get himself going outside of the scoring. I think just in the last 5 to 6 days, he's been more willing to attack the basket because the 3 ball still isn't falling for him. Over his last 5 games, Zach Lavine's still shooting 30% from the 3-point line. But here's the thing, right, that gets me excited when I'm watching Zach. It's not just the fact that over his last 5, he's had 26 points per game, right? Finally starting to get the offense going for himself. But it's the other things outside of the offense that we're seeing Zach Lavine do. 6 rebounds a game, 4.4 assists per game. Over his last 5, Zach Lavine is averaging 1.5 steals a game. Those are Lonzo Ball numbers, ladies and gentlemen. 1.5 steals per game. And on top of that, he's hosted defensive ratings sub 99. Going up against Utah, where I said he had one of his best games against Colin Sexton, 99 on Colin Sexton defensive rating. Zach Lavine has elevated his game in a way that I think Bulls fans need to take note of. Yes, the offensive numbers have not been there, although over the last 5, right, they've been there a little bit more. But Zach Lavine, you paid him $215 million, not just to be the best scorer on your team. He has to be the best player on your team. And I'll tell you what, over the last 5, he's starting to turn into that best player on your team. And that's the thing that this Bulls team needs right now. I think the next step is, right, how do we see him step up as a leader? How do we see him step up and get the Bulls out of this little scoring drought that they're going through? Not to say that everything's been perfect with Zach Lavine. The shot selection has still been a little bit iffy on the 3-point line, right? Still hasn't knocked down the 3 ball. But the thing is, for me, right, like, now we're starting to see him live up to that $215 million deal. Now we're starting to see him play like the guy that we thought was going to be Mr. Zach the Max, you know, Max Zach, whatever you want to call him. Now we're starting to see him get to that next level of play, and he's starting to look like one of the better players in this NBA again. I think a key thing for me is seeing the IQ grow, seeing understanding of the moment. I think in that last game versus Sacramento, we saw the IQ grow. Now, in Sacramento, they were not giving either team many calls, right? I think both teams kind of went into that game and were attacking the rim, and the refs were like, nope, you're not getting a call. Nope, you're not getting a call. But the refs were pretty consistent throughout the game with that. I'll give them credit for that, right? Like, they didn't do it. They didn't give all the calls in the first and then none in the second. But the thing is, right, what was it, 6 minutes to go in the quarter. Bulls are in the bonus. You're seeing Zach Lavine attack the rim. Not getting the foul call, still finishing at the bucket, but you're seeing him attack the rim more often. You're seeing him get downhill more often. You're seeing him putting up, trying to draw the fouls more often, and the fouls did not come because the refs weren't going to give him those calls in that game for some reason, right? Very inconsistent on how the season has been, but here's the thing. Understanding the moment. Hey, we're in the bonus. We can cut this lead by getting to the free throw line. Hey, we're in the bonus, right? So I think he's growing as a player, and that's all I can ask from him this season. I'm not sitting here looking for Zach Lavine to just be the best scorer that the Chicago Bulls have. I know there's some Bulls fans that just want to see him put up 30 every night, but I'm going to tell you this right now. 30 don't mean nothing if you give up 25. 30 don't mean nothing if you give up 25. And the funny thing is, right, like his defensive rating over the last, I believe Hayes said 10 games when we were talking about it over Locked On Bulls, is a 104. And that is inflated because he gave up a 134 defensive rating in Phoenix because everybody was able to score the ball pretty much in that game. Everybody was getting cooked in that game. So for me, right, like I'm looking at Zach Lavine as a player that, yeah, he's absolutely turned the corner this season. And now the question is that going to be the shot in the arm that this Bulls offense needs? Hey, I want to know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Do you think that Zach Lavine has finally turned himself into that $215 man, that max player that we signed in the offseason? Let me know in the comments below. Here's the other thing for me, though. Right, when it comes to how does this translate to this Bulls team as a whole? For me, the thing that I want to see is the continued growth of and understanding of the moments of the game. And I feel like, right, if Zach Lavine's growing in that, the rest of the team can grow in that. Now, I think the one thing that we're seeing as well, and that we saw in that last game, was Zach Lavine come out and be aggressive early on. I feel like many of these games, Zach Lavine's tried to get his teammates involved because he feels like he's able to turn that game on at the flip, like a flick of a switch. No. That's not what we want to see you do. That's not how you go out there and you get your buckets. That's not how you go out there and you show that you're the best player. I love that you're trying to get your teammates involved. I love that you're trying to get other people going on this. But you know what? Being the focal point on the defensive end and on the offensive end, it will get your team going more than anything. And especially if your shots start falling, they're going to focus more on you. They're going to pay more attention to you. So for me, right, like, the big thing with Zach Lavine is, yeah, if he starts to get these shots falling, it'll be a big boost in the arm for the Bulls offense, an offense that has been up and down the entire season, hasn't even been relevant for most of the season, right? Like, we've had a couple, the games where we've scored the most, honestly, we've lost because we haven't played well defensively, so we've had to score the most. So to me, I look at this situation of, okay, how does this translate to what the Bulls offense is? I think you have to do a couple of things, right? For me, Zach, come out aggressive early like you did in that last game. Come out trying to show the world that you are the $215 million man that we should have paid. Come out and dominate the talent on the other side of you, right? And I think, right, even starting inside out, Zach Lavine didn't start by taking the three. Zach Lavine attacked the bucket the first 3 plays of the game, got a couple of buckets, got a foul call there, and then you saw him shoot a three. So, you know, like getting yourself going. And Zach Lavine has the ability to put teams on their back heel. He's got a quick first step, quick burst. He can blow past you. He can get to the bucket anytime he wants, right? Like that kind of stuff puts defenses back on their heels, and they're trying to just stay in front of you. And once you get them to back off of you a little bit, then that three is going to open up. He's a good enough three-point shooter at the end of the day. I mean, he's been 38% over the course of his career. I think he could get that above 40% if he attacks the rim first, because then people are going to say, you know what, he's going downhill too much. We gotta concede the three. He's only shooting at 30% right now, right? Like, then you make yourself a dual threat. Then you make yourself a little bit more dangerous, and hopefully we'll see that tonight versus this Washington Wizards team, especially without Bradley Beal on the floor. I think this is the perfect time to see Zach Lavine start to just show out, show up, cook, and have a flow to the offense that hasn't been there. There's been a lot of your turn, my turn between him and DeMar DeRozan. And I think now's the time, especially after last game, seeing Zach Lavine storm off. Now's the time where I'm looking at Zach and DeMar and I'm saying, hey, listen, I love that y'all are playing together. I think that y'all can eventually figure out how to play together. But we need to do it within the flow of a system. We need to do it within the flow of an offense. And when you do the your turn, my turn, you start to see guys not be as engaged. When you do the your turn, my turn, you start to see guys, losing focus on the offensive end. Heck, it happened with, I was watching a clip yesterday, rest in peace to Bean. I was watching a clip of Shaq and Kobe, of Kobe talking about his 40-point scoring streak. Scored 40 in 9 games or something like that. Shaq had got hurt. Shaq came back. The scoring streak continued, and he could have gotten to 40 in 10 games in a row. But Phil Jackson actually came to him and was talking about, hey, like, we're losing the big fella. He's not going to be as engaged offensively if you just keep taking these shots. He's not going to be as engaged offensively if you're the focal point of this offense, and we need him to be engaged for us to go win this championship. So Kobe ends up taking a little bit of a sacrifice, right? And Shaq, of course, I believe they won the championship that season. But, right, like, it's hard for you to remain engaged if you're not really a part of the offense. If you're just watching DeMar and Zach play catch and they're going back and forth on who's shooting what, okay, your turn. All right, bet now it's my turn, right? Let's get a little bit of a system rolling here so that we're keeping these other guys engaged. And you know what? That system needs to involve somebody cutting. P. Will, Io DeSumo, anybody, somebody get cutting in this one. But I do think that at the end of the day, right, like, outside of all of that, it starts with the guy that makes the most money on your team. I think that the offense initiating with Zach Lavine is better for the Chicago Bulls in the long run. And here's the thing. You need players when that system breaks down. I look at this, right, in not to say that DeMar is that level of player or Zach is that level of player, but I look at this similarly to how the Bulls and the Lakers ran the triangle offense, right? The triangle offense is a great system when you've got Kobe, when you've got Michael, when you've got Scotty, when you've got Shaq, right? The triangle is a great system. It just is. But who's the player on that team that makes the triangle work when the triangle doesn't work, right? And I think that's what we have here in DeMar DeRozan, right? Like, I think you need to run more of a system, try to get the ball moving around, keep the movement alive. And guess what? If the play breaks down, you've got an absolute assassin standing over there. I think Hayes called him a sniper because he doesn't play defense. So if you get him in hand-to-hand combat, it's over. But an absolute sniper. And DeMar DeRozan standing over there. And he's somebody that you can rely on. Okay, if the play breaks down, boom, kick this thing to DeMar. DeMar's attacking the bucket. He's able to get a lay. He's able to get a finish. He's able to get a foul. He's able to get a mid-range, two-dribble pull-up, right? Like, he's able to do all of those things. So for me, right, like, I'm sitting there, and there's a place in this offense for everybody to be able to eat. But that place to me isn't from the team being stagnant, isn't from the team not moving around, right? Like, right now, Zach Lavine averaging about 20 shots a game. DeMar DeRozan averaging around like 17, 18. All of a sudden, Vooch's averages are down to about 14. All of a sudden, P. Will's averages are down to 7. All of a sudden, we have to get more shots. We have to find a way to create more shots. Again, running a 2005 offense in 2022 is not going to work. We have to keep moving. Movement creates so many opportunities. You just watched it versus the Golden State Warriors. It's not like they were out there dotting us up from the three-point line the entire night. Now, Jordan Poole absolutely was cooking, right? But for the most part, right, like, the Bulls did a pretty good job closing out on the three ball. The problem came in with the Chicago Bulls was they could not cover the backdoor pass, the consistent movement. Draymond Green was finding guys left and right all night long. So the consistent movement to me is what has me looking at the looking at this team and saying, hey, if you just move, if you keep cutting, if you keep going to the bucket, eventually somebody's going to find you with the ball. And if the ball keeps moving, and we've seen it with the Bulls, right? When they move the ball, they find the open guy. It might not knock down the shot. We don't have lights out shooters. I'm not saying that that's going to be the entire fix, right? You still got to knock down the shot. But at the end of the day, you see the ball move around we've seen the ball fly around the floor, and then all of a sudden, right, it's a wide open shot in the corner. Got to knock that shot down. But you're getting a wide open shot in the corner. Those are the opportunities you want to create. I think that's created off of the movement. And I do think it's created off of Zach Lavine initiating and establishing himself early on in the game and making sure that the other team knows, hey, listen, I can come out here and I can get a bucket at any point that I want to. Hey, I want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Zach Lavine is the key to initiating this offense, getting this offense going? He's been cooking over his last 5. He's been playing well outside of that all season long, defensively, facilitating, rebounds per game. You know what I mean? Like all the things that you want to see him do outside of what we know he'll eventually be able to do offensively. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I do hope you guys know there's more to basketball than just scoring. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bulls content. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below, especially this one here, this one right here. The Derrick Rose and Cam Reddish come back. That's our yearly. It's like Christmas at this point. Check that one out. And we got the Chuck Swirsky interview right here. So tune in with that as well. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.